what this means, everybody new to the 2-minute EWO, we have to find the first candle, the second candle beyond the set of candles. So you're looking for a candle that is taller, and then yes, that is the entry. If I look at these first set of candles, you see how they're all flat and they're the same? I don't want no candles that are the same. The reason is just like this. None of these are an entry candle. You guys all see these? These are garbage. So the reason is we wanted to have a move, which you can see right here. You see how this one is bigger than this one? So we're looking for a candle larger than the first, I always say the first candle because we got to have some kind of starting point, right? So when I say second candle, all it means is it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, there could be 5, and then boom, there it is. Right? It just means it's the second candle that is obviously, bigger than the first set, but it's hard to explain that. So I always just say second candle. So that's what it means. So great question. Now let's break this down. Let's look at your trade. Let's look at the full 2-minute EWO on Apple. All right. So we can get an idea of what's going on. And I'm going to show you this trade. First set right here. Is it larger? Sure. It's kind of tough. It's been red the whole time, but that's okay. Let's say by some crazy chance you jump in on this, you get in here, you get burned. Now, I heard you talking about percentages. If you were in a call and this breaks down and you get all these big giant bloody candles and it's already changed color, you don't need to wait 25%. You don't need to wait 6%. It's already telling you, get out, get out, get out, long candle, get out. Do you see what I mean? It's just in the questionable. Then we'll say right here, let's say you're like, oh, I'm on the fence. So here's your first trade, junk. Here's your second trade. I don't even know if I would get in this. You guys see any of these that are forming longer than the other? It's just, that's terrible, right?
Yep.
And it's loitering around VWAP. The other thing that I always tell you guys is never trade if it can't leave VWAP. The reason is because it'll just sit here and chop up around that level, right? It doesn't know what it wants to do. Now, it could keep touching, and it breaks through. Well, if that's the case, you're going to then start getting the candles that it should look like, right? Nice longer candles. Great. So first trade, junk. Second trade, no way I'd get in it. Third trade, I get in on this one or this one. Do you see it? Here's your payday. Check it out. See this? There's your payday. See it? So here comes the other rule. Is we don't cherry pick our trades. Well, what do you mean by that, coach? I mean, we go with what the trades give us. So here's what I mean by this. You're like, oh, I got in this one and I got burned. And then I got in this one I shouldn't have, but I got burned. I'm not taking this one. We already know it was sitting around VWAP, right? And that sucks. We don't want it. But if you look at right here and right here, do you see how it broke above VWAP? That's 1 star. The trend is now moving to the upside. There's another star. I think it broke the 200 right here. That's another star. You see how we're building momentum. The candles are getting bigger. That's another star. Now you broke the double right here. There's another star. You see how we just mentally add on and add on and add on. So we're like more and more and more and more and more confident in this trade. So even if it does these little pullbacks, we don't care. We leave them alone. You're in an 80-star trade. Like, why do I care? It does this. Who cares? Does that make sense? Now that I showed you how to enter, I want to show you how to get out because this is the next thing. People are always like, oh, coach, I was up 800%. And at the end of the day, I lost all my money. And I'm like, So one of my rules is we don't ever let a green trade go red. What I mean by that is since you bought in down here, you got to have some sort of stop that was above what you paid so it can never come back, right? And ding you no matter what this does the rest of the day. Do the shedding technique. It is 50%, 20%, 20%, 10%. What this means is, let's say I bought in here and for whatever reason, you're just like, I'm scared. And it pulls back. You shed half. It goes up. It pulls back. You shed half. It goes up. It pulls back. You're like, I'm still panicking. I just can't hold it. And you get rid of half. Now all you have is 10% and you can let it do whatever you want it to do. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because we're doing it for a couple reasons. We get to collect at each moment and The nice thing is, if it does fully reverse, you get a knife drop. Well, guess what? Because you're not full weight of the trade anymore and it knife drops at 10%, you ain't going to be out crap. It ain't going to hurt you one way or the other. It's 10% of the original trade. You've already collected 90% of that whole trade. If it like Apple just like crashes and burns, you know, what is that? 10% of the trade. Does that make sense?